So thank you so much, ma'am. In fact, when you were introducing me, I was wondering, is this the same person that you are introducing? Is it me only? But yeah, I have held many caps and done a lot of other things. But yeah, this is my passion project. So, and I'm very, very happy to talk about St. Jude's today. So yeah, without further delay, let's talk about my passion project, as I call it. So we started St. Jude's in 2006 with our first center for 8 children. And when we started this, we really didn't know what we were going in for. We didn't know what their needs were, but we created a kind of a model which we knew we wanted to sustain and grow with. And over the years, as you can see in this timeline, we have expanded in the last 19 years. So this is our new and latest pride, so to speak, a new facility which has been inaugurated about 10 days ago at Khargar, and for which I just said that the great news is just 5 minutes ago, we received the news that we have got our occupational certificate, which is really an achievement for us. So I'm now going to just show you a short film on the new center that we've created. The film is actually even going to show people who haven't visited our center what the inside of a center looks like. You may not be able to hear the audio, but that's fine. It's just background music. So you won't be missing anything. So don't worry. So just a little film that I'd like to show you. Can you all see the film?
Ma'am, you have to play.
No.
Yes, yes. This is a first for us, a training center. So this is the place that we actually want to train other organization representatives to run a place like St. Jude's, a home away from home. This is the classroom where I was just mentioning that we need volunteers because we now want to have some bit of formal education for our children. This is how our center is. This is the learning area in our center. This is where your children would gather for education. This is the common kitchen facility where they would all cook and eat. Uh, and this is the layout of our center. The unit that the family will occupy. Also, the BNC unit for children undergoing beyond marrow transplants. And this is the lovely open spaces and the surroundings are wonderful. Just perfect, I think, for children who are recovering from this. So I'll go back to our PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, so this is, like I said, a just small glimpse of our centers. So currently we are in 13 cities across the country. And on any given day, about 876 children and their family would be staying at one of our centers. And just to give you an idea of the distances that these families have to travel to the nearest city for the treatment, because most of the hospitals where they undertake treatment are focused in metropolitan cities. So as you will see that nearly 30% are traveling over 1,000 kilometers to take their treatment. So this is the need. What
Gargi,
we
could you use a laser pointer maybe, so you could show them?
Unfortunately, I don't have that, doctor, but will this cursor
Okay.
work? Will the cursor work?
Yeah, it shows on sometimes on the white background it does
Ah,
proceed.
yeah, sorry. I don't have that. I
No,
didn't think about that
no,
actually.
but it would be on the Zoom platform itself. You would have to just do right click and
Uh,
then.
okay. Let me try and do.
Suparna, can you guide?
Yeah, I think, is
You
that
just
it?
right click and it says,
Okay. Mm, yes, I got the point.
yeah, and
Oh,
then do laser. Yes.
okay, I got that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
So basically, what they need is a good treating hospital where outstation patients come. Childhood cancer actually has a very good survival rate in advanced countries. It's as high as 80%. In India, unfortunately, it's on an average just about 30%. But I'm happy to say that our St. Jude centers, our cancer survival rate is 70%. And we keep striving to go across to at least meet the international standards and then go beyond. So just to show you how desperate the need is for a place to stay, like a home away from home, like a St. Jude center. So as you will see here that every year there is an increase in the number of cancer patients, pediatric cancer patients coming from low income families. The number is increasing on two counts. One, that there is a better prognosis. And second, of course, there is an increase in even the disease. And as here you will see that unfortunately it is only 10% who actually come to the city for the treatment of cancer, which is the sad one. And for them, we at St. Jude's are trying to create a space so that at least this 10% who comes is able to complete treatment. So the biggest impact that we have been able to do at St. Jude's is that because of the space that we offer them, we have been able to considerably reduce the abandonment. So the abandonment in Tata Memorial Hospital in 2006, when we set up our first center, was as high as 20%. Today, thanks to our St. Jude facility and other similar home away from home in Mumbai, at least we've been able to bring down that abandonment rate to just about 1 or 2%. So these are our founders, Nihal and Shama Kaviratne. So Mr. Nihal Kaviratne worked for a multinational company, and for most of his working life, he was situated outside the country. He had outstation abroad postings. So when he was retiring and coming back to India, he felt that he needs to now give back to his country. And he was quite sure that he wanted to do something with children. So they were invited to this event at Tata Memorial Hospital. And on the way, they saw that there were a lot of people living on the pavements. And on asking the doctors shared that the biggest constraint these families faced was a place to stay. So while there was low cost quality treatment being offered by the hospital, the problem was the lack of funds to stay for the long duration of the treatment. In the case of leukemia, which is blood cancer, where most of our children, 85% of our children have leukemia, the treatment is as long as 3 years. And for the families to be able to stay for long durations of times in a city was near impossible. So when they saw in front of them this sea of bald heads and, lots of them had these pots in their arms, and they made a promise. And that's where our vision was created, which is that every child coming to the city for the treatment and recovery from a serious disease like cancer should have a safe, clean, and a comfortable, cost-free place to stay to not only help them to complete their treatment, but also they should be given any information, encouragement, activities that would inculcate a positive frame of mind, which would then help them further to fight the disease. So St. Jude, what it does is it bridges the gap between this very low cost quality treatment being offered by the hospitals and the need for staying and accommodation. And along with that, what St. Jude does is provide holistic care, all of it cost free. So our work is based on a model of 3 interlocking and interdependent circles. The first circle is the medical treatment. This is the reason why they come to the city. And this part, the circle 1, is entirely managed by the doctors and the treating hospitals. St. Jude's does nothing in this, nor do we give any funding to support the medical treatment, nor do we give any in-house support for medical treatment. This is entirely done by the hospitals. Circle 2, which is looking after their physical needs, is at the core of our care. What we do here is we ensure that they have a clean and hygienic accommodation, kitchen to cook, and facilities for transportation, etc. And our third circle looks after the emotional needs of both the parents and the children, This we do through counseling, through art and music therapies, and through a range of activities which helps to keep them in a good frame of mind, positive thinking, as well as in shared living. So at St. Jude's, what do? We provide each family coming to us with a unit. As you may have seen in the film, each family is given a room, which we call a unit. And in that, we provide them with a bed, a cupboard, and some shelves to keep all their medicines and all their, we kind of give them provisions, we give them sick bowls in case they are sick. So they keep all of those in the shelves. We have a common kitchen where they are provided with all the provisions that they require, all the rations, as well as we give them also all the utensils and equipment that they need to do the cooking. Each family is allocated one stove and a storage in the kitchen, which is their space. They do the cooking there. So way in the beginning, we realized that it is important that we provide them the provisions and let them do the cooking rather than us providing the food, is because they come from all parts of the country. And each one of them have a different food habit. And as we all know, when we are not well, we want to eat our comfort food. Maa ke haath ka khana, as we all know. So we decided way back that we'll give them everything possible, but let them do the cooking so that they are able to feed their children with the comfort food and nutritious food. We give them nutritional supplements as well. We provide daily transportation to and from the hospital. This is provided 24/7. So even in the middle of the night, if the child is unwell, there will be a transportation to take them to the hospital. We have our learning area, as you saw, that is the space where they all sit at the end of the day and exchange notes or just have pleasantries. And that's the area where during the day, the children undergo their education. We have yoga, we have art therapy, we have music therapy, and lots of other activities. What we try to do for the parents is also do some kind of a skill building, because we've realized that while they are there, they need some kind of a diversion, some kind of a stress buster. And so we have a lot of these skill development, both for the mother as well as for the father. For the mother, the skill developments include things like tailoring, basket weaving, beautician courses. For the fathers, we teach them mobile training, mobile repair training. We teach them how to repair bikes. The idea is not just that they are diverted and occupied gainfully during that stay, but that they also learn some skill, which could then become a source of income when they get back home. So what are our differentiators between St. Jude and other home away from home or dormitory facilities? One is the uniformity of our service. By uniformity, I mean is if a child gets discharged and goes home during the treatment and comes back, it is not necessary that they will find a space to stay in the same center that they went out of. But at the same time, they need familiar surroundings. And so every one of our centers, pan India, all the centers, the 68 centers that we have, will look exactly the same. The same coloring, the same way of colors, the same tiles in the bathroom. So we have a total standardization and uniformity. Similarly, even in our processes, in our operation daily processes, so we have actually a manual, an operating manual, and that helps all the staff to manage the centers pan India in exactly the same way. So the ration that is given, that may change. For example, in North India, they would eat a lot more of wheat and roti, whereas in West, they will eat a lot more of rice. So depending on the regional habits, we give the ration accordingly. but otherwise the items will be the same. So that is the uniformity we maintain. Another thing is we have a lot of focus on compliances and governance because we know that if we are totally 100% run on donations, we need to ensure that the donor gets their full transparency and the confidence that their money is not being misused in any way. And one unique point that we have in St. Jude's is our team members, that is volunteers like myself. So all of us are part of the team only because we can bring some kind of a professional skill to the organization. In a way, we are the consultants on the roll for the organization. We voluntarily give services either professionally, where required, like we have a legal expert, we will have a finance expert. And so in a way, we save a lot of money where we may have to have paid consultants. So these are our knowledge banks whom we refer to where required. So how do we run St. Jude? So as an organization, we have like a company, different departments. So we break our things into jobs to be done. So there is a stream which looks after legal and compliance. There's a stream which looks after finance, sponsors and donors who get all our money, our second circle, third circle. So our structure comprises of jobs to be done team. So there will be a team for the job to be done, like I showed you in the mind map. If it's finance, so you would have a volunteer like myself, a team member who would lead that jobs to be done team, and all the execution would be done by our management team. We have a formal board of directors because St. Jude is a Section 8 not-for-profit company. So we have all our statutory regulations which we comply with. And we have an executive committee, that is our management committee, which is headed by a CEO. We have our CFO and our CPO, HR, etc. So in this organization structure, you will see that our board of directors and team members are the volunteers, and our CEO, our exco, and all our jobs to be done, which is what I just explained to you, is all part of our management team. So when we are setting up a center, we make sure we have our 4 pillars in place. The first pillar is a need study. That is, there has to be a good treating hospital giving quality care to needy patients. By needy patients, I mean families who come from, the below poverty line, and they hold a BPL ration card. That is one of the criteria that we have for an admission to a St. Jude Center. Second thing is team members. Like I said, volunteers. We look for local volunteers in that new city who would help us for any kind of contacts that we would have in a new location. Then premises. We will need premises to set up these centers. And unfortunately, this is the biggest hurdle that we have at St. Jude's, is finding premises. You may not believe this, but even today, people feel and believe that keeping kids with cancer on their premises means that they will bring bad luck or that their children will also get cancer. And so it's a big struggle for us to find a premise. There has been an instance, unfortunately, in Mumbai when we were setting up a center at Mira Road. It was a builder who gave us 3 floors in a new building. And we did up the centers, we did everything. And the day we were moving our equipment is when all the other residents came down. They stopped us from moving and we had to abandon that center. So yes, premises is our biggest hurdle. And then funding. At St. Jude's, one firm thing we believe in is that we need to have sustainable funding to be able to carry on. So very early in setting up St. Jude's, one decision we had taken was that God forbid, for whatever reason, if we were not to get a single pie, we need to ensure that we had money to at least look after every child who has been admitted to St. Jude's for at least a year and ensure that they complete their treatment after that. So these are some of the partner hospitals that we work with pan India. As you will see in Delhi, we just one hospital. When we know there are so many, Bangalore, there is just one hospital. When we know there are so many, and the reason for that is that we are unable to get premises in both these cities. In fact, Bangalore, it is only very recently, just a couple of months back, where we were able to set up this first center when Narayana Hospital helped us to set up a center for 20 children. And that is an exclusive bone marrow transplant center. And that was only thanks to the hospital who really helped us get premises. Otherwise, we've been trying to set up in Bangalore for nearly 15 years and we have been unsuccessful. It's that difficult for us to find a premise. So this is the way we do our funding. So every unit, as you may have seen in the film, the unit that the family occupies has an acknowledgement plate outside, and that is a family unit. That is a contribution that a family makes for a year. We have other flexible donation options, which could be a one-time, it could be recurring, it could be multi-year contributions. We also, like I said, look into long-term sustainable donor relationships. And one thing we try and do is get a donor to support our operational costs, which are quite high, for at least 3 years. We try and get a commitment for them. CAPEX donors are the donors who help us to create the center, to build a center, to do up the center, and the center is then named after them. So 65% of our donations come from CSR partners, reputed foundations like Godrej, HDFC, and the Shangvi Foundation, high net worth individuals, and retail challenges. One thing we pride ourselves is with our administrative cost. We try and maintain it at 5% or less because we believe that every amount that the donor gives us should be maximum put to the use for the children we serve. So yes, we had our challenges and this was one of our litmus tests. So when COVID struck, we had two areas of concern. One was that the children who are in our centers, we needed to ensure that they are safe. And second thing, we needed to ensure that they are able to continue with their treatment. And so when COVID struck, our staff very magnanimously volunteered, and some of them stayed with the families to begin with. They made sure that the families were comfortable. They felt that we were there for them and that they were not abandoned and we had not left them to their own meals. And our family stayed with them. Then, as the lockdown started getting even tougher and more stringent, we set up online connectivity. So we would be in touch with them. We would organize games for them. In case there was any trouble, anyone was not feeling well, we would see to it that we would isolate them. We set up a task force who was literally maintaining data on a day-to-day basis and making decisions. If someone got COVID, which yes, we did have cases of parents getting COVID all across the country. And so we had to tweak our centers in ways where we created, in a place like Cotton Green, where we had several centers, we created certain centers, floors where there were isolation wards. So we really had to keep on moving and tweaking to ensure that we kept our families not just safe, but we also kept them in good spirits. One of the things we had to do as it extended was to ensure that the children who were home had adequate medication to continue, because The way it works in this treatment is they stay for initially for a period of 6 to 8 months, then they are sent home, and then they are given medication for the period that they are going to be at home.
Hello?
So when some of them had extended stays, they could not come for their treatment. We had to ensure that they get the medication at home. And so we tied up with some of our donors and our treating hospitals to ensure that we were able to send the medication last mile connection to the families who were at home, and they got their medication and the children were able to continue the treatment. As the stringent measures were kind of eased, we made sure that the children who had completed treatment, we arranged for our bus, and our staff took them to their villages around Maharashtra and dropped them to their homes. Then, with further extension, we realized that some of them were really struggling for even their day-to-day ration, because most of our parents are probably daily wage earners. And when they could not go out to work, they didn't have probably enough for even sustaining themselves. So we got donors who would send money to them to be able to sustain. So this for us was like our litmus test that yes, our model could work and that we were able to tweak and move fast to ensure that the children were looked after and that they could even continue with their treatment pan-India. At St. Jude's, we have this mantra, once a St. Jude child, always a St. Jude child. And so when we completed 10 years of St. Jude's in 2016, we invited our first lot of children to come in, and we had a kind of a get together with them. And at that time, when we interacted with them, we realized that they were having certain issues for facing, whether it was financial needs for their education. Some of them had health issues as an after effect of their treatment. Some of them wanted jobs. These were children who were 12 and 15 when they started their treatment, were now 25. They were just completing their education because there was a stop in their education. But they wanted to help their parents because they knew that the parents had put out all their savings that they had in their treatment. So we realized that there were a lot of things we still needed to do to help them. And so in 2020, we set up the St. Jude's for Life program. It was set up in memory of Mrs. Rani Vikaji. She is the mother of our founder, Mr. Nihal Kaviratne. And all our cancer survivors are called Judeans. Now, who are these Judeans? So once a child has completed the entire course of their treatment, and for 5 years they've had no recurrence, they can be called as survivors. So today we have over 2,000 Judeans spread across the country. And we have this mammoth program where we are trying to ensure that they are given education support, support to not just complete education, but for hostel facilities, for health. Some of our Judeans do have health issues. We have some of them who have physical disability, some with mental disability, and some with, after effects who get convulsions and are not really able to do anything. So for them, they will need lifelong health care support. So that is what we are ensuring. Then there is counseling. Counseling is not just education counseling, but it is also counseling for career guidance, counseling them to continue with their education. Often it's the Judeans who want to do something, but the parents are not willing to let them go. These children are leading very protected lives sometimes. The parents have gone through so much to save them that they kind of hold on to them and are not willing for them to go out into the world and take steps out there. So some of them are open to it, some of them are close to it. So that is the kind of counseling that we do for them. We even are providing them with insurance. Now, that was a big one for us 3 years ago, because until 3 years ago, when St. Jude's was able to provide insurance for our cancer survivors, no insurance company was willing to give them insurance because of the disease and everyone knowing that, yes, there will be after effects of the treatment. No insurance company was willing to give insurance to a survivor. So we really fought for it. We had one of our volunteer team members who was part of the insurance industry, and she really stepped in and she helped us and she contacted and she was persistent enough, and we got health insurance for our Judeans. So it started with a bunch of 500. Today, we have 2,000 Judeans, and each and every one of them, we are ensuring that they have insurance so that any medical after effects that they may get later on in life, they will be covered for. We are helping them with employment. We are helping them with marriage guidance, counseling for Judeans who are getting married. So it's financial aid, it is assessment-based, customized career guidance, and a job mela. So this is something that we did for the first time. At Khargar in April, we had a job mela for not only Judeans, but even survivors of Tata Memorial Hospital. So all the children who had taken treatment and had survived it, we had a job mela for all of them. We called in an agency who was offering them. There were lots of companies who came on. We even had someone who was kind of taking them on for placements in HDFC Bank for customer service, etc. So for us, it was a huge success. In terms of conversion, yes, there were not so many conversions because I think the expectations from some of the survivors in terms of what they thought they should get, some of the job openings were in cities where the openings were and where the cost of living is so high, and them being a first job, initial payment was not adequate or feasible. So in fact, as I was showing you in that film, we have a hostel facility. So we are actually going to provide that hostel facility for our Judeans as well, so that they can come and stay with us when they are doing these skilling programs. So we have created partnerships with organizations like Pratham, Tech Mahindra, Tata Strive. And currently, about 5 of our Judeans are undertaking training at Tech Mahindra. We've just signed an MOU with Pratham. And so while they are undergoing these courses, which would be anything and would involve them staying in the city for 3 months, 6 months, or a year, that hostel is going to be the place where we will provide them with cost-free accommodation so that we can help them in their aspirations in fulfilling their dreams. We hold youth leadership camps. Now, what happens is some of these young ones, because they come from all these remote villages, they do not have the kind of confidence that your children in the city have. So what these youth leadership camps does, it kind of speaks to them in their language, in their local language, and it gives them the confidence. It through workshops, through activities, they kind of create this leadership within them and give them the confidence, and it has been a huge success. And we've created this ambassador program. What these ambassadors do is that they encourage other Judeans to take part in all the activities that they are doing. They hold camps in their local areas for the local families, and they encourage them to come and take courses. We have started with a mentorship program as well. So when there is a Judean who needs some kind of mentorship for a career, one of us who is a team member or even from outside, which I would even open up to y'all, if y'all can give that kind of mentorship, it would be fabulous. And of course, we need internships. So that's something we are trying to encourage our supporters and our donors to kind of give them an opportunity for an internship. So this is our route for the theory of change as we do in St. Jude for Life. Our eventual aim and goal is to help every Judean fulfill their dream, their aspirations. Sometimes, of course, they dream and aspire to be something which they do not have the capability for. So the way we do it is we've created this theory of change map. We enroll them into the program. Based on what their needs are, we identify their needs. We do a kind of counseling where we tell them what it is that we are offering them by way of the program. In the seeding, we give them career guidance, we give them insurance, we give them health support, we give them Judeans with special needs, as I said. So this is where we actually start giving them what they need. Here we try to encourage them to take part in all these leadership camps, in ensuring that they continue with their school and college. So while we are giving them support for education, it is important that they don't just take it for granted and they actually are attending that college and taking advantage and completing it. So we have a whole team who actually does regular calling with them, with the parents, talks to them, finds out. We get them to share with us the attendance reports, the reports at school. So we make sure that while we are giving this, they also understand that they are accountable and that they cannot be misusing the facilities offered to them. So yes, we try and get them to complete their courses. We try and get them jobs, get them skill building. And then, of course, at the end is get them to be independent and to be able to stand on their own feet and get on and have a better quality of life. And these are some of our success stories. So Preeti came to us from West Bengal in 2016. Since then, Preeti has graduated and is now pursuing chemical engineering from IIT Guwahati. She and her family have moved to Badlapur in Mumbai because of for her better education. In fact, she did very well and got a 90 plus, which is when we helped her as a star performer, so to speak, to pursue her IIT with Guwahati. This is Omkar. So when Omkar came to us in 2009, he was quite young and now he has completed his ITI. His parents are farmers. He is from a place near Nasik, and not just is he continuing with his job, but he is also helping his parents in the farm. This is Nazia. So Nazia was our first child and first admission at St. Jude's. She was an amputee, and since then, she completed her radiation. She worked in a hospital. Then she realized that no, this is not something that I'm really enjoying. So now she is a teacher. She teaches children. And I'm happy to share that last year she got married and is now expecting her first child. And, when we hear these stories, I think this is the medal and the award. We may win other awards, but I think to all of us, I think our pride is our Judeans, when they go on to achieve their dreams, I think that is what gives us the maximum satisfaction. And yeah, so there are many such success stories. We have one of our Julian, Reshmi. She was just 5 years old when she came to St. Jude's for the first time in our Center 1, one of our first children. And she came from Tripura. At that time, to come from Tripura, they actually had, if they came by road or by train, they actually had to pass through Bangladesh to come here. So it was so difficult. And despite that, the parents chose to bring her all the way to Mumbai. And I'm so happy today to share that she has completed and is a radiologist. She worked in Silchar in Guwahati with Dr. Kannan, who is running a fantastic cancer hospital in Silchar in Assam. And now she is in Delhi. She is pursuing hospital management and she wants to, if possible, join Tata Memorial Hospital, where she says it all started. So, yeah, she's also one of our big success stories. And we had her come in for the inauguration of our facility and attract the new one, because I think for us, it's they who are the living testimony for us that yes, we have been able to achieve something. Yeah. So that's it. And now I'm happy in case you all have any questions or something, I'd be more than happy to share that with you all.
Thank you so much, Gargi. I think it's really been a big eye-opener, and I'm sure many of us would still be asking, how do you do it all? I mean, starting from collecting the funds and also getting volunteers who um, are committed to their responsibility. I think that's more important. Being a volunteer in name is not the only thing. Committed to the responsibility that goes with it is very important. And that is the backbone of the whole exercise, as I understood from you. And and that's what keeps, I guess, St. Jude's running. And of course, the SOPs that you all have designed to take care of the infrastructure, but I think they would vary between different centers, right? Not in terms of infrastructure, but the actual requirements at each place, because they would be housing children from different places. How do you manage to integrate all of that? I think that's a lot of planning. I mean, I see it as a big plan.
So in that, I'd like to share with you, Doctor, like you said that, bulk of our operations runs exactly the same. So the things is the tweaking that we do regional wise is that, the kind of ration that we give, whether we give kilo, what is the quantity that we give of wheat, what is the quantity we give of rice, that is the tweaking that we do. Another first that we did was in Guwahati. Now in Guwahati, when we set up our centers, we realized that there were a lot of single mothers. So in Northeast, there is this, the society allows polygamy. And so there are a lot of single mothers over there. And one of our stipulations at St. Jude's is that when the child comes in for the first time for treatment and the first time of admission, we try and insist, if possible, that both the parents come and stay with the child. Reason being that the child needs both the parents, the mother, of course, for the care and the cooking, and the father to do the running around in the hospital, because when they come for the first time, there's a lot of hospital stay, and at that time, you need two people. So when we went into Guwahati and we realized that there was this peculiar northeastern trait, what we did is we now have a living ayah. So she is like your matron would be in a hostel. What she does is that it's because a single child, she looks after the child when the mother is in the kitchen and cooking, or if she's unwell, if the child is unwell and in hospital, that matron would see to it that one of the other father or parent is helping that mother out with the child. So that is one of the tweaking that we did in our model over the years. Regarding sustaining our team members and volunteers, doctor, so what we have a bit of a stringent thing in accepting a person as a team member. So when a person comes in and shows interest that they'd like to volunteer and they'd like to seriously volunteer as a team member, we actually have them in a kind of a probation period for 3 months, where depending on their interest and their professional and skills, we would put them in one of the jobs to be done team. Not just that, when we have gatherings, we see to it that they come in and, kind of contribute. So we see that the person is committed and wants to do volunteer for the cause. And that's when we take them on as a TM, because it's important that we see that they have the equal amount of commitment to this work.
Yeah. So are these people also working on their own otherwise? Because to give
Yes,
such
yes.
commitment,
Yes,
that's
yes.
a double
So
commitment actually.
most of us, doctor, are running, have our professional life and are giving our time to St. Jude's. But I'll tell you, even one thing we all know is, because we are so committed, if there is any kind of an emergency and we need to get together, I think everyone makes time and is there. Like it happened in COVID. Every day we would all get onto a call, because we were also learning for the first time. We were trying to see what we needed to do, what was things happening on ground. So that's the kind of commitment everyone has. I think about 80% or 85% of our TMs are active and in their profession and working, and only about 15% would be retired.